Republican Matt Bevin changing the political landscape. The political novice and Tea Party favorite elected governor in a state where Dems have held the office for most of the last 44 years.
I'm proud for the fact that this is a great night for the Republican Party in the state of Kentucky. I'm also grateful for the fact that, even more importantly, this is a great night for conservatives in the state of Kentucky. We are blessed with an incredible set of values that the vast majority of Kentuckians hold, the core Christian values that this nation was built on.
And Kentucky Senator Rand Paul, who's also running for president, he joins me now live. Senator, what happened in Kentucky? I mean, I'm talking about the polls. Bevin was down 6 in the polls. Nobody gave him a chance of winning. I think even the Governors Association had taken away all of his advertising. And by the way, the Tea Party support in the last 5 years has cratered. It was 32% in 2010. According to polls, it's now 17%. What are we supposed to believe?
I think the lesson here is that maybe we're placing too much stock in polls. We have the same problem in the presidential race, that everybody is making hay of all these polls, which none of us really believe to be accurate or represent really what's going on. They said Bevin was down 5 points. He ended up winning by 8. They were off by 13 points. In Virginia, the last 2 cycles, we've been off by 10 to 15 points. So really, I think because people aren't answering their phone and because many people have only cell phones, I think the polls really aren't representative of what the true elections are about.
So what did this victory say for you? I mean, was it it's obviously good news for your home state for you in Kentucky, but was this a vindication of Obamacare? Was this a pushback against the EPA? Was this a pushback against some of the things you're fighting for?
Well, I think it's twofold. It's a credit to Matt Bevin for being a great candidate. He's not a career politician. He's a person like myself who ran for the office because he was concerned about the direction of the country. But it's also a victory that really, I think, President Obama handed to us. President Obama has destroyed the Democrat Party in Kentucky because he's decimated our jobs, he's decimated the coal industry, and it's really hard for a Democrat in Kentucky because they've got to run headlong away from the president because I think he's basically ruined our economy.
Well, it's interesting because some people compared Matt Bevin to Donald Trump in the sense that he wasn't a politician and he was a business person. I find it interesting to use that analogy because you were asked on a Comedy Central show whether or not you would want to be the running mate for Donald Trump, and you said what?
Well, I don't think he'd be the best nominee, or I don't think he'd have the greatest of diplomacy in dealing with world leaders. So, no, I don't think Donald Trump would make a good president. But I think the link really in Matt Bevin's election is he beat the same guy I beat in 2010. We both ran. We both were not career politicians, had never run for office before. I was a physician in practice for 20 years. So I think the real commonality is that this is 2 examples of people beating career politicians. The same career politician.
Okay, so now with another debate coming up next week, what is Rand Paul going to do to try and shake it up? We've seen other people who have been lower in the polls. I'm talking about Marco Rubio and now even Chris Christie. They've been rising. What do you need to do to have that same effect?
Well, we keep doing the same thing I've been doing since I ran for office, and that is complain about big government, complain about the debt, try to stop people in Washington from squandering our kids' future. I stood up until 3 in the morning filibustering against raising the debt ceiling, and I think that made an impact. For example, 23 million people tuned in to a view of that on the internet. So we still are getting our message out. We don't always get it out the traditional way, but we're very big on trying to get it out through different media platforms, social media platforms.
All right. Senator Rand Paul, who's running for president, thanks so much for being on The Real Story. Time now to check